Hi, we're live. We have Klara for
Hey,
another typology interview. How's it going, everyone? How's it going, Klara?
hey, thanks. It's great.
Great to have you. We tried to do this before, but my internet had an issue. So thanks for agreeing to the reschedule and all that.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Great to
Okay.
be here.
So you were typed by Dave in a call, right?
Yeah, something
Right.
like
And
that.
I know your type. I put it in the description.
Yep.
And I also have we can talk about it later, but I have your YouTube video in the description and one of your projects. Do you want to talk quickly about your project before we start? What it's about?
Oh, I don't know which one you mean. I got so many.
Okay. No, you sent me a link to a website for a project.
Oh, okay, that one. Oh, sure, I can
Yeah.
talk about it.
And we can
Uh,
put more. I think you also have a store, right? That we
I
can
do.
link if people are interested. You're selling used, like secondhand clothing?
Vintage.
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 Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. It's different.
No, no problem. Those are used. That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, so the project I actually did a couple of years ago when I was, well, I'm still am, into another typology. It's David Kibbe's Metamorphosis. It's a body types thing, kind of.
Okay.
It's a kind of NF stuff, I would say.
Do you have something
Uh,
about it on your channel?
it's about, looking at a person as a whole, as their body, but then again at their dreams and what they are, like like a personality, and where they
Okay.
want to go with that, and dressing that, like you're dressing the whole person, not just the body shape or something.
Right.
So, but he's like the system is fascinating. I think perhaps Kibi is NIFI or maybe FINI or something
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we just talk quickly about what the website is? Like, there's
Yeah,
pictures
so
of
my
people there or
project
something?
was, yeah, I wanted to understand his system better because it's very
Okay.
vague and, vibey, and I wanted to see how it plays out in reality. So I basically asked people to come to me, and I would take photos of them
Mm-hmm.
and photograph them in their underwear so that I could see what lines they had in their bodies, like if someone's like elongated, or maybe someone's more broad, or maybe balanced or something. And I wanted to see, how that plays out in reality on a spectrum, and that's what I kind of did. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay. So you're, I agree that you have a sensory dominant.
Oh
Dave
yeah.
said it's SI. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself as SI? Because you said you like to gather, but you're organizing
Oh
the
yeah, like
sensory.
I think it's kind of like how this plays out within my type. I think in up it makes sense that I am SI Dom
Okay.
because my SI is just single activated and feminine, and
Mm-hmm.
my NE is masculine and double activated, right? So it's going
Okay.
to be a little more like in your face, and
Right.
I guess my gathering tendencies come from that. So
Okay.
mm, yeah.
Um, can you tell us a little bit about how you see SI? Are things personal to you? Are objects personal? Is the physical world personal to you?
Ah, I don't really see it this way. Like, I guess when
Is
I
there
was
meaning
young,
behind objects?
is there what?
Is there like a meaning behind objects? Do
Oh,
objects
that
hold a deeper
that
meaning?
yeah. Like when I
Yeah.
was younger, I think it was way more personal. And
Okay.
as I went through a lot of stuff with stuff,
Uh-huh.
I learned to kind of detach from things. But one thing that I cannot seem to detach from is the structure of a thing. If I'm doing something, then okay, so let me
Yeah.
take a step back. It's like I think SI is about seeing the structure within things, like among things, so how they correlate, interconnect, and stuff like that. So it's like making decisions based on, if I want to do this thing, then I first need to do this and that and this and that step, because
Mm-hmm.
and those steps make a logical progression, like there's a structure within them. And you know that if you kind of miss a step, then the whole thing will not lead you to the correct goal.
Outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I get attached to that structure, I think, because it's
Right.
in my mind. I see it, and it's then that if someone knocks over my, very intricate Jenga, I will be like, "Argh, what
Right.
are you
Okay.
doing? You're not supposed to move these things." And I remember this being a big issue when I was still doing graphic design. Because in graphic design, and I was doing that, mostly books. So it's like you have to take into consideration lots of these like physical things in the beginning, because every page has to be consistent with another when you're putting together a book. It all has to look harmonious. Therefore, you
Right.
have to set up a number of rules at the beginning. So if you've got like this width of margins, then you're going to have the interline as, a very specific interline to match the width of the margins. And then you have to match the font size to that. And all these things are interconnected. And if you move one of these things, you're going to have to move all the others.
Hmm.
So I think that is, that's kind of like I used to be very much like focused on that when I was younger and doing that particular thing. When someone said, "Oh, can you make that now bigger? Make the font bigger?" It was like, no, you cannot make the font bigger, because I'm going to have to move everything around, because it's not gonna look
So you're talking
harmonious.
about when you're doing your website or when you're doing
Yeah,
online
it could
stuff?
be a
Yeah.
website. I was
Hmm.
mostly designing for paper, for print. So it was
Right.
books. It was sometimes it was like posters or
So
something like that.
is the order chronological? Like it's a procedure?
I don't think it's tied to time.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like more like it's the correct order, but it's not tempo. It's not, within time frame. It's like just spatial.
Spatial? Okay. Like does it feel like a set procedure, like step A, step B, step C sort of thing?
Not necessarily.
No.
No. It's just that, well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's easier to go step 1, 2, 3. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's just like I'm tester, right? I'm double feminine. So what I like to
Okay.
do is I actually, in the beginning stages of any project or design, I like to actually move stuff around, and it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter which part I move. I'm just gonna move them around as long as I need to, so that they finally start making sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
uh,
what do you mean by making sense? Like that they're
yeah.
organized? That they're what does make sense mean?
Okay, so I think for me at least, my highest priority is harmony within that
Okay.
sense making. And harmony is like I want to make a distinction that harmony is not necessarily beauty, because
Hmm.
beauty is very subjective, and harmony seems to be something that is, I don't know, maybe it's more cultural, or maybe it's just more
So
ingrained in our
yeah,
brains.
again, I
But
want to get to know what you mean by harmony. Like I get you're explaining it, but like I
okay,
can see also that you're talking about harmony not in like a social meaning. Harmony more in like a physical
yeah,
meaning.
yes, it's like phi, like what? I'm sorry, I don't know the English names for that. It's gonna be hard for me to talk about it, right? But
Okay.
like basically proportions, maybe that's the easiest analogy to what I'm seeing as harmony. um you got to make things proportionate to one another. So it's like if you, I don't know, when you're dressing yourself, or like probably not you, sorry, but a lot of women say that's,
Okay.
fashion and personal style. That's sort of an interest of mine. So let's go that route. Um, so if you put together a, I don't know, a blouse and a skirt, they have to match together, but oftentimes, they will not feel like they're complete or something, and you need to add something else to tie them together because maybe their colors are, you know, different, so you need something to like bind them together. And then
Hmm.
when you have added a jacket, say, to them, so that binds them together, you can see that you're still missing something. You need now a good pair of shoes that will match the rest. Now you've added the shoes, and then you see that you need something to finish it off here around your head, so it's like a necklace maybe, or a hat or something. It's like
Hmm.
the more you add, the more you need to see like the whole structure of it, and it all has to bind together to come together in harmony, in proportion to one another. So
Uh-huh.
you sort of cannot do something that is going to be like absolutely out of this set,
Hmm.
like
Okay.
be it I don't know, maybe a different color will not work for this, or maybe it's going to be a different shape that's not going to work for this. Like if everything is flowy in the outfit, then adding a boxy piece to it may not really work. It depends also on the person who's wearing that, because everything works in connection with the body, right? So that depends. But it's like basically I have to look at the whole thing and see if the proportions are there, if the harmony is there. So I think, that is my personal understanding of what
Right.
I am doing with a sigh.
Is your organization based around a lot of visual stuff as well? It's mostly visual, in terms of.
I would say so. I mean, it's visual. Like, I don't know if you're talking about modalities or
No, I'm
uh
not. I'm not. I'm
no.
talking about just the way you organize things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mostly visual for me.
Right.
Yeah, I used to like when I was a kid, I used to learn music. I played the
Hmm.
piano, and I was like rubbish at it. Like I don't get it, not at all. Like I don't
Okay.
know what's going on there. So yeah, I think it's mostly just visual.
Okay. We have a question here. Hi, Clara. When you're creating some kind of craft and you have to start all over because of a mistake, is it hard for you? Is
Oh
that
yeah,
something you identify with? Yeah.
I'll just reject everything. Like I'll not start again. I'll either just pretend the mistake is not there, or I will just ditch it altogether and never come back to it.
Hmm. Can you
Well,
give us like an example of when you've had a mistake that did that to you?
yeah, like it's the simplest thing. Like when I knit or crochet, and
Okay.
I realized that I'd made a mistake a couple of lines before. It's like, okay, so now do I rip this
Yeah.
all and then redo it, or if it was like way, way down below, it's like, I'm not gonna, because that's
Okay.
one
Well, I
thing
think,
I don't have.
yeah. So that would be true for anyone, right?
Yeah,
That sort of
totally.
mistake. Yeah, yeah.
That's really true.
Um, I'm thinking of some kind of procedural thing. Will you get stuck if you've done things in the wrong order?
I don't like.
No.
I
Okay.
don't like. I don't know.
Okay.
Wait. I'm trying to think about something because I'm sure that has happened. I probably do things in the wrong order, and then I just come back and redo them, and I just don't think about it
Mhm.
because
What about in terms of organizing a schedule, your time, routines, habits? Are you good at those? Are they easy for you to?
um I don't know if okay, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that is maybe not more of an I thing,
Okay.
because like I don't really have like routines like in the day. I don't have a schedule ever. Like I
Right.
do the same things, but it's not according to a timeline. Um,
Hmm.
and then it's kind of easy for me to just drop it and just not do it. And I don't know, like I'm feminine on that organized, so I'm
Right.
pretty bad at it. Like that's what Dave said.
Um. Oh, okay. What What about in terms of, I don't know, keeping things neat, clean, stuff like that? Is that important to you? Is that something that you care about?
Not for my own sake.
Right?
Uh, when I realize that someone else likes it, then I'll do it for them. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I like to have like a clean room, but it's not a priority. No.
Mm-hmm. What about in terms of language and clarity of language and people saying things that could mean two different things? Does that ever bother you?
I don't know. Like, I don't. It's a good question. If I really don't understand, then I'll just ask. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's like it doesn't bother me like in myself because I have this like I will try to understand. It's not that I don't care. But when someone's saying something I completely don't understand, then no matter how much effort I put into it, I'm just gonna ask
Mm-hmm.
to
What if it's
have this
something
clarified.
what if it's something that you think you understand? Do you ever get those misunderstandings where like you think you understood one thing and then they meant something else?
Yeah, sure. Like that would be my demon any, and that's like a lot of um well, I would say I mostly use my NE for play, and I'm okay. I don't know if this is a peacock or not, but I
Okay.
think I'm pretty good at play.
Right. Well, you
And
double activated on it, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like generally get along with people. I can understand them well. I like it's a
Mm-hmm.
nice thing. I like the back and forth, and but when I do get stuck on something, when I do get stuck on my personal interpretation of what someone said or did, then it's kind of hard to move me from there. Mm, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Like you feel certain that you've understood it, sort of thing. Do you
yeah,
have like an
yeah. It's
example?
like um, I'm gonna try to make it as yeah. Well, I used to have this weird relation with one person that lasted for like 10 years.
Oh wow.
And um, whenever we met, there was some sort of a tension between us that I interpreted one way. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I confronted the person with that, they would say that that's absolutely not true. But then again, there would be this tension, and I would be like, doing the FE thing of going to other people and saying, hey, this happened, this is happening, what's going on? And they would say, yeah, 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 I can see what you're seeing, because I was probably so convincing with my
Mm-hmm.
any but then it just never played out in reality, so I guess that was exactly that.
Right. Um, do you feel a very subjective nature to the physical reality? Do does it seem like you're interpreting everything in a personal way? Objects, senses,
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean.
experiences.
Like I don't know, like I think like I said, I think I am very like possessive of the organized when I do it. So of the structure that I told you about, that is extremely like yeah. But things in themselves, I'm like no, not really. Like
Hmm.
I don't think like I'm not attached to things. Like I have a couple of things that I like personally that I would if my house were burning down, I'd probably run in and grab my diaries. But that's about it.
Hmm. Do you often feel like people are saying that they're having different experiences than you? Like you're having a very unique experience as opposed to other people?
No,
No.
honestly, I think a lot of people tend to relate to me, and I tend to relate to other people, but that's a fee. So
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, yeah, no, I'm not talking about relating. I'm talking about experiencing events, experience like say there was a car crash or something like that. Would
yeah,
you would you feel like you're experiencing it in a very unique way? Very it's it has a more of an impact on you?
I can't tell you because
Yeah.
I'm just me, so I don't
No, I
know.
know, but I mean, like, usually would you try to compare what happened with other people?
Oh, that's a good question. N- No, I mean I would
No.
tell them about it. Like when I was in a car crash, I told people about it, but it was like because I needed to vent to someone, not compare.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And actually, I think when people come back to me and tell me, "Oh, I was in a car crash and this was how it went," I would be like, "Who are we talking about here?" So maybe that's the possessiveness, you know. Uh,
Hmm. Okay. What about those? Okay, so the systems you're talking about, just examples of systems. So a
yeah,
system to get dressed, sort of. You were saying
yeah,
there's a system to work on a website or to maybe
yeah,
make a sale on your website.
yeah.
What other systems are there that sort of help you out with your day-to-day life?
Mm, oh wow, gosh, it's a good question. I don't really know. I don't realize. I probably have way more that I realize.
Mhm.
Like I have a system, I think that's an OI thing. I have a system for not staying on Facebook too much, and so I have a a feed killer so that I don't get any notifications, nothing. I see nothing that people post. That's like I don't know if that's a system, but it's something that came
Right.
to
Okay. Okay. So do, how important to you is freedom? Let's say.
like um are you asking me about values or are you talking about
I'm talking about like, do you ever feel trapped? Do you feel like you're being controlled?
oh sure, of
Yeah.
course.
Is that
Yeah.
is that something that makes you really upset, or is that something you're okay with and you're accepting of?
I guess it depends on the situation. Like
Yeah.
with the COVID situation, I'm
Yeah.
like, people are putting in all
Right.
these rules and regulations because that's for our own common good, so that's okay, right? But like there are these rules here in Poland about abortion. There's a ban on abortion, and they're trying to make it even more like tight so that you
Okay.
can never ever do it. I don't think that's right, but
Right.
that's I don't know.
Uh-huh. What about in terms of chaos? Does chaos disrupt you? Does it bother you that I don't know, things aren't going according to plan, that there's unexpected things come about,
Um, I think I've accepted that a while ago that things
right?
are probably going to get disrupted. So as
Hmm.
long as I don't have a plan, things are not gonna get disrupted, right? So I usually try
Ah,
to not really make a lot of plans in my life, but if someone comes in and destroys something that I've built with my SI, then that is not a nice thing. That I don't like.
okay. So what do you build with your SI that someone can destroy?
Well, like I told you, like when I was working in design and I was like designing, I don't know, let's say I was designing an album of photos or something like that.
Hmm.
And then a person came in and said, "Oh, can you change this and that? And we need to add this and that." And I would be like, "No, like sure, I would do it because I fee, but that had a very like physical reaction from me because no, that is already done and decided upon, and this is already structured the way that it's supposed to be. So don't you dare move it." So
Hmm.
I think that's the kind of chaos that I am afraid of, but I don't really get uptight about it like on a daily basis with people. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Do you
bug
ever get? Do you have like that IJ box sort of thing where you have your comfort zone, and you don't want to be distracted from it? You don't want new things to enter your IJ box.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
Facebook thing where I'm not taking any new info. That's
Right.
an example of that.
Yeah, but like, okay, so did you stop yourself from taking in new info because you would get carried away? Because you're naturally inclined to take in a lot of info and you just needed to put brakes on, or because like you don't want new info? It's
No,
evil, it's the devil.
I don't want
Okay.
new info. It's like I will only consume what I want to. I will only consume what is, I don't know, important to me. Like throughout
Hmm.
all of this COVID situation, there is like, we're being flooded with information and it's being clickbaits upon clickbaits. I hate that stuff. So
Right.
I have decided that I am only going to look at government sites to see what is going on so that I can act accordingly and,
Hmm.
see what's pertaining to my business so that I'm informed. That's it. I'm not reading the news. I'm not talking
Hmm.
like, I'm not really talking to people about it
What about
anymore.
the news in general? Do you like the news? Do
I
you
don't,
no?
I don't listen to, and I have not listened to news in, I don't know, 20
Right.
years.
And current events? Do you like to be on top of current events and things?
No, I don't
No.
care.
Okay.
Like, I don't
Okay.
feel, I never feel that it like really relates to me in any way. Like I don't feel it influences me a lot. So, which
Mhm.
I know, like a lot of people think that's very strange, but that's how I feel.
No, no, that's very non-SE. I was trying to differentiate between SE and SI here a little bit because
Yeah,
I was seeing it could have been either way.
yeah.
Um,
So, do you consume like willingly? Do you like seek out new
I
information? Are you
I
on
have
top of
no
things?
I personally have no choice to
Okay,
but to consume, and I don't only consume what I like and or what I want to consume. I just consume everything, and even if I don't like something, I'll consume it till the very end.
right.
It's really, really rare that I'll like stop something in the middle, even if I absolutely hate it.
Okay,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
uh, getting better, but yeah, like if you don't like something, you'll stop consuming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
you do.
you'll be
And you don't.
picky. You'll be a little bit more picky with what you consume.
Oh, very.
Very picky. Okay, there you go.
I
Um,
think I might be actually consume last instead of sleep last.
it could
I
be.
don't
It's a
know.
demon, anyways. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, what about things in terms of coming to conclusions? Are you constantly looking for evidence to come to conclusions? Is that important to you? Like, do you
hmm
base all of your conclusions off of like real world evidence?
I think I've learned to do that because
Yeah.
I used to jump to conclusions way more when I was younger, and then
Uh-huh.
I really got kicked in the ass for that. So I guess I started seeing that there is much bigger value in sensory, in facts. So
Hmm.
I do my research nowadays before I go and,
Right.
blast
So Bianca wants to know what kind of things do you consume?
up.
Yeah. Well, we all know that. We're all consuming up here.
No, but honestly, that's about it. Like I
Oh,
consume
really?
up and I consume, well, this other system that I'm into,
Uh-huh. Right.
whenever it pops up.
Right.
And and well, okay, like sure, if you count watching movies consume, then I guess I
Are you
consume.
picky with the kind of movies you watch, or you'll just watch anything?
uh okay, so let's put it this way. I probably would not watch anything if it wasn't that the people around me want to watch something. So I'll just
Uh-huh.
join in, and then it's like, okay, whatever you want. I don't even want to
Yeah.
watch in the first place, so whatever.
Right.
I like to
Um,
reconsume though. Like I've seen the X Files about 15 times.
oh wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so that's a good segue into your FE. Do you see FE as something that you're using energy for other people, that you're giving people attention, that you're or also, do you see like a harmony element that you're trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone's getting along or agreeing or in the same direction or
Yeah, I do that. I do that,
yeah,
and yeah, and it's like I think I have realized how much energy this takes from me because I have just over
right.
time have done it less and less. I'm kind of like I don't want to say I'm a reckless because that's not true, but I'm like definitely not as connected with people nowadays than I was like 10 years ago maybe.
Mhm. Does it
Uh,
feel like people are really draining, like they take a lot out of you because you're constantly investing in them?
Yes and no. I think it depends on the situation. It depends on the people. That is one thing that I have recently realized
Right.
that I have been letting a lot of people into my life without ever checking who they are and if I personally like feel that it's working for the both of us. And right now I think I'm a little bit in a process of figuring out who who I personally like and vibe well with because
Mhm.
there have been like numbers and numbers of people around me who I don't mind them, but is it a close connection that I'm looking for actually here, or are we really speaking the same language? Or is
That's
it just
interesting.
that they feel well with me, they feel good with me, so they want to hang around and I can't
Right.
say no?
So you're not the type of person that wants acquaintances. You're more interested in a closer connection, like a deeper connection with people?
I guess.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of acquaintances? Is that something that
Well, it depends as compared to whom, I don't
right.
think I do, but then I know that there are people who would consider the number of people that I do keep in touch a large number. So, I
Okay,
definitely,
there you go.
yeah.
Um, do you are you aware of, I don't know, maybe social fads, social groups, who likes who, what people value, what's important to this
Absolutely.
person? Yeah?
Yes. Yes, I love that stuff.
Okay. D If
Yeah,
someone's
absolutely.
close to you, do you know everything, that they value?
Um, Yeah, value. Yeah, I don't know. Like probably, yeah, I want to know what's going on with them in their
Mhm.
lives, what's like the current hot topic in their lives. So that's probably something they're valuing, right? And
Yep, yep.
um
Priorities, what their priorities are.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, gossip
Um,
stuff.
right. Do you associate people with each other? Do you find that there are groupings?
Oh, of course.
Yeah? Can you tell
Yeah,
me a little
that's
bit about the groupings that are around you?
well, I'm in a couple of friend groups right now. Like one is around this other systems that I'm
Right,
studying. The other one is my friends from my studies. Then there is my boyfriend, who is a group of one.
right.
I don't know. There's a couple of people from Odd that I kind of keep in touch from time to
Yeah.
time. And
Do
then
you fi
there's
do you
family
find that
stuff.
you're a different person around different groups? Were you in the past? Are you
Yeah, I think I've got it. Like it's not out of control.
right,
Yeah.
but there's still that sort of tendency or like
Oh yeah, like I will adjust to whoever you are. It's like I mimic you, I will chameleon you because that makes things easier and smoother and it's making things easier to, if I adjust my energy level to you, it's going to be easier just talking and expressing one another. I don't want to overwhelm anyone.
uh-huh,
Uh, I don't want to get overwhelmed. I either, right? So if I match the other person's energy level, that usually works good for the both of us. And then that means that I can sometimes go out with that TI.
right. Okay, so we have a question here from Bianca. When you were younger, were you a people pleaser?
Actually, no,
Okay,
I don't think I was. Actually, as a kid, I was very much um, peacocking my TI because that was something that was being valued. So yeah,
it's masculine,
that
I
was
guess.
something that was being valued in my family. So to please my family, I was peacocking that TI. So it did not seem like I was the people pleaser in the sense of, oh, I'll do everything for you. I'll be so sweet and
Right.
cute. It's more in the sense of just going out and doing the thing.
So you noticed that your family was valuing TI, and so you were using it more to please them, I guess?
Yes, what they were valuing things that were other than my SF. So,
Right.
like my natural state was pretty much like, "What are you doing?" So I had to turn to these other sides that you do, and I was
Mhm.
peacocking that quite a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
I get it in your business that like SF should be really helpful for you to know
yeah,
the value of the things that you're buying and how
absolutely,
much you can sell them for. Because like vintage is all about assessing value
absolutely.
objective value.
Hmm.
Yeah. Whereas like
And
FI would be like this is more valuable to me, but like you're looking for things that could be valuable to other people, I guess.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I do. And this is a wonderful job for me, finally, after
Right.
years of trying to peacock my NT and, design stuff with all of that, like maybe even like mathematical
Uh-huh.
accuracy. Doing this SF thing of, oh, I'm just collecting old stuff and taking pretty photos of it and writing good descriptions and it sells. That's like, it's so easy, I can believe it.
Right. And you feel like it's something you're good at, it's something that it doesn't bore you?
Oh, it is boring. It is
Yeah.
boring, and I'm not like super good at it.
Okay.
I'm mediocre, and I'm fine with that because it just earns me money, and that's everything that it needs to do. I don't love this job. I don't hate this job. It's just a job. I'm not
There
tied
you
to
go.
it in any way,
Uh-huh.
other than there is a way that I run my shop, and no one gets into that because that's my decisions. That's my TI.
Right.
That's like my ST sleep, how I
Right.
do my work, and no one is allowed to question that or give me any suggestions.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but it's like, but otherwise, I don't
Okay.
care. I don't
So
care for the thing.
no matter which way you put your animals, your TI is single activated.
Yeah,
It's a demon.
yeah.
Do you see it as a little bit of a demon? Is it
Oh,
do you
definitely.
yeah?
Like, I think I can do thinking, like, as in logic. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Probably, not as good as any TI savior, but I think I can do it to a decent degree. But what
Right.
is a problem is identity part. I have a hard
Yeah.
time sticking to that.
So okay, so this is something that maybe anyone who's using TI anywhere, they will have some kind of identity issue. I've noticed. This is
Yeah,
just also me as like a lead TI. I've had
yeah,
identity issues. Like it's just because identity is like this illusionary thing where like people who have FI or seem to link their FI to their identity, but at least but
yeah,
TI sort of knows that that's an illusion. They know that an FI is
yeah,
in that illusion and they feel like they have this identity, but they actually don't. So I mean, however low TI is in your stack. So like if TI is higher in your stack, you
yeah,
usually get that identity crisis like a little bit earlier. But
yeah.
then like if TI is really low in your stack, you'll get that identity crisis later and like who am I? And the answer I've found is just like it's an illusion. There's no such thing as you. There's no
Oh, yeah,
you. Yeah.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
relate to that.
Right. Um
Although in my case, it's like I was always aware that there is no me, and I need
right.
to build this up a little bit just to feel like I am actually a person who, maybe
Right.
is worth being respected or something.
That's right. Okay.
So
So with that in mind, will you move yourself? What will you move yourself for? What will you give up on that identity for? For will you give up on it for some kind of greater value, some kind of objective value?
like, if you give me good reasons, I will be convinced of something that you're telling me is right.
Mhm.
Because especially if I don't have my reasons for it, if I don't have my like pre-planned that I had not thought about it. And if you
Right.
give me your take on it, and I see that it is coherent and it makes sense, then I will probably just take it.
So you'll
But if
adopt
I
those reasons as your own reasons and then move yourself towards them?
sort of, probably, um, but if it comes to values, it's like I will just go along with whatever you're doing, and what I think you don't have to know
Right. Uh-huh. Um, is there ever a case where there's a contradiction between the two, between what's maybe true to do and maybe what's better for the good of everyone else?
Oh yeah, probably most of the time.
Yeah. What kind of thing? How do you go through that kind of decision?
I don't know. I weigh it, I guess. I see, because that's like people game, right? So, and I've always seen doing stuff with other people as the sort of a game of give and take. So, if I have given enough, then I know that it's now my turn to take. So, based on the situation that we're in, I can now assess if it is my time to go with my TI, or if
Hmm.
I still need to move myself to do more FE, because that's
Yeah.
what the situation will kind of benefit from,
So
like
okay.
for the
So
future.
you brought up the abortion thing there.
Yeah,
You're in Poland, right?
yeah,
Okay. So that whole abortion thing is, I guess you like from what I've gathered, your truth, like what's true to you, is the pro-choice thing, right?
yeah.
Right. But then like there's a social value around you of it's wrong to get an abortion.
Well, it's not really around me because I think like
Okay.
most of my friends are pro-choice,
I
but
see.
the
Okay. All right. So they
government
agree then.
is, yeah. So yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So I tried. Maybe we'll think of another example. Um, okay. Um,
Well, it's like with the like let's go to the most mundane things. Like my boyfriend wants to watch a movie, and I don't feel like
mhm.
watching a movie at all because low consume, right?
Okay.
But I know that we had not spent a lot of time together recently, as in sort of bonding, because he's working, I'm doing my own thing, and it's like we basically, meet late in the evening, even though we're staying in the same apartment. So I'm gonna be like, okay, this is going to make it better for the both of us. I don't want to do it. I actually want to sit and watch, I don't know, something about op. But he wants to do it, and that's something I then will, adjust myself to do it with him.
Right. Yeah, and
It's very,
I like I
yeah,
see the conflict there.
yeah.
The conflict isn't between TI and FE. It's between like your energy use, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
your
I
consume
totally
versus
agree.
your yeah. Which I guess, anyways. Okay, so let's move on to Demon Any for a little bit. Um, is it do you do you see the patterns around you, like it's masculine, it's double activated? Is it something that you're actively searching for to gather these things? Are you looking at the uncertainties? um
Yeah, I would say, when I was younger, I was in this. Okay, when I was younger, I was very into NF stuff, like the occult
mhm.
and all
Yeah,
of that. Yeah,
occult
a
is a
lot
very
of that.
SI thing as well, by the way.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
is. That's true.
and a
Uh,
single observer thing. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I was doing that because it was like a sort of a surrogate. I never felt like I had a lot of agency in the world, in the physical world. So what I was trying to do was to influence it through those N things, right?
Hmm.
But that was a bad N. That was like this, like I've matured and now I know that this is not how N works. Like sure,
Right.
you can try to read tarot, or you can try to do astrology, whatever. You can try, whatever works for you. But that's not what real patterns are. That's just looking for stuff because maybe there is something. And it's like that doesn't work like that. I've
Uh-huh.
realized over the years. I was very
Um,
unhealthy about that too, like to a degree where I was like, when I was depressed, I went out, of the house, and I was like looking for omens and seeing things that, like reading from the flight of birds, which is like, what the hell? Like right now, it's like, no. Whenever someone tries to talk to me about, oh, I've seen this and that's a sign, it's like, okay, right, sure, good for you.
right. Um, do you still have that little part in you that is looking at signs and looking at reality for signs?
I do, but I am actively like trying to control it because I know that it's easy for it to get out of control and it's easy for it to just go into weird places. Like
Right.
I am into seeing patterns in op and stuff like that. Like I am trying to kind of direct this and seeking energy towards things where you can actually see some patterns based on sensory. But I'm
Right.
trying to like keep it connected to the
Connected to the
sensory
real world.
instead
Yeah.
of just letting it do
Yeah.
whatever.
Um, what about in terms of seeing possible outcomes or
I
potential in things? What's that?
I think like that a lot.
You peacock it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Um,
this is going to happen. I know
right.
it.
Right. So are you guessing at what's going to happen or things that could be possibly beyond the next hill, a little bit behind the horizon?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not like a constant thing, but I do.
Is it something that's is there pain involved in like getting that wrong or
There used to be, but I
yeah?
don't think anymore because I have realized that I'm really bad at it. So it's like if I do it, it's like I'm laughing at myself at the same time.
Uh-huh.
It's like, you were wrong about that, right? Yeah.
What about in terms of trying to see intentions in people, trying to gauge intentions?
Um, like honestly, I don't know because I I'm good with people, so I don't think anyone would have ill intentions.
Okay.
And if
Yeah.
I do have this weird vibe of, oh, they hate me, then I'm usually in the wrong about that.
Yeah, that's good double deciding right there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, okay, well, we have a few questions. So if you
sure.
create something and someone doesn't like how do you react if someone doesn't like what you've created?
Well, of course, it feels like I'm disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to make someone happy with what I did.
Hmm.
But it's like if they don't like it, then that's kind of easier to deal with rather than if they point out that there is an inconsistency and that I did
Hmm.
something wrong. That's
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard
Yeah.
to do.
So
Yeah,
you just pointed out exactly that double deciding over double observing. Like
yeah,
if there's a flaw in what you've done, then that's an issue. But if they just don't like it, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, are you seeing TI as a bigger demon than your NE or not because of your sleep last?
Um, I think uh, currently it is something that I need to put more work into as in TI, as in identity,
Yeah.
because I have put a lot of work into an E. And
Okay.
so in that way, yes, I feel that that TI needs more work, but it is not a demon as in, I can still do double deciding pretty well. So
Right.
it is a third function.
What about in terms of like responsibility? Do you feel like you're responsible to see the patterns coming? Are you responsible to know what's coming next?
Oh, yeah, I should work on that. That's true.
Uh-huh. Are you responsible to know the uncertainties of the future, to prepare for the uncertainties?
I don't know. I think I have this sort of um I have this sort of a workaround that by now, and I'm close to 35, so by now I know that I can deal with whatever happens. So
Right.
it's more like mm,
So you're
taking
not trying to
care of,
anticipate it. You're not trying to
yeah,
anticipate what's happening. You don't feel responsible to anticipate it.
I don't. And I don't really feel that I need to deal with anything before it comes, because
Right.
I know that if it comes, then I will deal with it in a moment. And I don't know, it's like I don't plan for the future. I don't
Yeah.
do an I fear.
What if something feels like it's about to come and like you know something is coming and you can't avoid it and it's something negative? Is that something that will stress you out? That'll freak you out?
Probably, like,
Yeah.
who doesn't get stressed out in a situation like that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. We have another question here. Do you get stuck thinking of all possible bad outcomes that could happen?
Mm, that's a good question. I probably did get stuck at that when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
but right now I've built up this kind of confidence that I don't need to worry about the outcomes
Right.
or the possibilities. Like, sure, I know my brain is gonna go there, but it's
Yeah.
like I catch myself going there, and I'm like, no, no, just no, don't do
Uh-huh.
it.
So like you actively stop yourself from, I don't know, freaking yourself out from your fears. Like are
Yeah,
fears real to you?
try to.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, I try to.
Are fears like really real to you? Like is there like a real fear component to or was there in the past?
Like, you mean anxieties, like
Yes.
observer anxieties?
Yeah.
Yes, when I was in toxic relationships with people, that triggered me a lot because I felt like I could not um, prepare for what people are going to behave like. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
was a big problem for me. Like, people were kind of unpredictable for me. And I think, I was in a bad place for many, many years before I kind of got free of that. So I think a lot of my anxieties come from people, actually, rather than some outside world
Okay.
situations.
Um, do you ever try to figure out why they react in that way? Do they blame you? Is there
Well, I can see the people game playing out. Like, I know
right?
what they think, I know what I did, I know what they feel, I know what
Uh-huh.
I feel. Like, that's easy for me. But the
Okay.
patterns, like, not necessarily.
Mhm.
And if
Okay.
I got stuck in a pattern of doing some behavior to sort of avoid that uncertainty, uh, that would be hard to break, even though some a lot of the time my behavior being repeated did not bring the correct outcomes. Like, it did not
Mhm.
help the situation.
Okay. A few more questions. Will thinking about the outcomes cause you not to want to try the new? Will you get like a deer stuck in headlights? You don't want to try something new if
Well, I
it's
generally,
overwhelming.
yeah, I think I generally have this attitude of why should I do it?
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to try new things, but I'm trying to kind of work on it through this attitude of why not? Just trying
Yeah.
to remember to do that whenever this no pops up in my head, and I'm like, hey, why not? Just chill.
Mhm. Do you ever go back and consume what you journal?
Oh, yes. A lot of the time. Like, my memory is bad, very, very bad. So I kind of the only signs of my past are in my journals. So yeah, I do. I come back to that. I've been journaling since I was like 12. So, and it's enlightening, going back and reading all the stuff that I wrote out back then.
Mhm.
And like, sometimes, like, even seeing that things have changed, and sometimes seeing how I would just state some things that were just clearly untrue. Like especially from a perspective, that's pretty amazing.
Right. Interesting. Like you had misconceptions and like you grew
Yeah.
since then, and then you go back and you see,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay, how do you deal with a lack of feedback or information that you care about? Can you let go, or do you just have to know? So, okay, I know what they're referring to.
Okay.
So, like, say there's something that piques your interest that you need to know. Like, do you ever get this desire that like you just need to know the what? Like, what is that? What is that food? What is he eating? What is he driving? I don't know. What is he wearing? That sort of thing.
Less what, more why.
Why? Okay.
Yeah. Like when
So,
I
is it
walk,
hard to let go of that why?
uh, well, it's for entertainment, I guess. So I
Okay.
can drop it, but I want to know why.
Right. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit, just before we finish off, can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've overcome, some of your personal struggles, maybe some tips for other people that have your same type on how to succeed, how to not get stuck in like a previous job that you had or something like that?
Yeah. Oh wow, you put me on the spot here. I didn't
Yeah.
think about it. I don't have a blast. Okay, I'll try to come up with something. Well, okay, if I was going to talk about my like biggest discovery or one of them,
Okay.
uh, that would be um, you gotta like okay, that does not sound like a discovery of an FE saver, but you really have to listen to other people when it comes to your identity. But listen to the chosen people because a lot of people are going to tell you stuff about yourself that you're going to want to believe because you're a fee. And then
Hmm.
you're going to try to follow that because you want to please them. But if you choose and very consciously choose the people that you really trust and have this deep bond with, that is a healthy bond, that is a good person for you, then go to them and talk with them and ask them about what they see in you because god damn it, you just don't see yourself at all. It's like that's super hard going. I don't know if that's your experience too with TI on top, right? Going to other people with your
Yeah. No.
that's not easy.
Yeah.
So so just use that FE for bettering your TI sort of. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, so for TI above FE, it's I need to go to other people more, you know?
Yeah.
I would never go to other people to get
Yeah.
feedback.
I
Yeah.
I would say in my case it's like maybe choose your people. That's
Yeah.
the thing. That's the
Right. Yeah.
asterisk here because it's
Yeah.
similar, but
Really
it's
good.
like not everyone
Really
is
good.
going to be your people.
Okay, so check out Klara's website.
Yeah.
If you want to buy, if you like vintage clothing or you're interested in getting some cool thing for a friend or something, you ship
Oh,
internationally, I
thank
guess.
you.
Yeah. Do you ship
Yeah, yeah,
internationally? Yeah.
of course, worldwide.
And worldwide, awesome. And then also you have a YouTube channel where you're talking about OP at the moment. Is that basically the main topic?
Yeah, it is so far.
Okay.
But I'm just,
Right.
checking stuff out. It's like
It's like a
it's
practice thing. It's like a
yeah,
learning
yeah,
experience. Yeah.
it's a sketchbook.
Cool. Like, oh, like like a diary of your, yeah.
Yeah, like something like that. A practice. Yes, it's like just trying to see what works for
Cool.
me. What are the things that I want to talk about maybe in the future because that's probably not going to be up forever. But
Great. Awesome. Okay. So that link for your store will be there pretty soon.
great.
Have a good one, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming. Thank you a
Thank
lot,
you.
Clara, for
Yeah.
coming.